Happy holidays, one and all, and welcome once again to a little something I am calling Angels of Your Rancha for the holiday season. I'm your host, Paul James Caiden, and this is the Christmas edition of the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about communing with the Christmas angels. Now, naturally, we can commune with the angels any time of the year, in any season, but if you know anything about me, or have listened to my podcasts in the past, you certainly know that I love to podcast about the angels during the Christmas season. And here to help us commune with the angels during this holiday season and every season of the year is Miss Jane Howard Feldman. Jane is the author of Commune with the Angels, published in 1992. Driving Under the Influence of Angels, published in 2002, and Angels by My Side, published in 2004. She is the founder of Be an Angel Day, celebrated annually on August 22nd. The 30th anniversary was celebrated this year in 2022. Additionally, she is the founder of Inspire Your Heart with the Arts Day, celebrated on January the 31st. Jane is an ordained interfaith minister, Reiki Master, and curator of Angel Heights Healing Arts Center. Jane maintains a private spiritual life coaching and counseling practice, offering telephone and in-person consultation. Since 1997, she has produced a monthly inspirational CD or MP3 for subscribers around the world. Jane resides in Upper Co, Maryland, with her husband Charles and their Jack Russell Terrier, Hattie. Welcome to the podcast, Jane, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have this conversation with us today.
Well, thank you, Paul, for inviting me. It's my intention to be a blessing to you and your podcast and to all those listening to us.
And I'm sure you will. I'm reading your book, Commune with the Angels, which is really good. I've read a lot of angel books out there, and some of them, they have a lot of good information, and some of them are just kind of really, I think, people who have an idea about how to commune with angels, but maybe never really did it. So I highly recommend, your books to, the listener of the show as well.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell us, if you would, when was the first time you encountered the angels? I know in your book you said it was when you were quite young, you experienced like a very strong presence in your room at night. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to mention that I think all of us have things in our lives which really change our perspectives in life, right? And maybe even have us looking in a new direction or in a different direction. And I always said, before I had this, what I would call an apparition experience or visitation, and I was around 11 years old. Before that, I was like living in a house that was looking at with windows that were on the front of the house. And so I was conscious of the front of the house and what I could see out of those windows, so to speak. But then I had this energy, and I was awake, and it poured in to my bedroom and really started shape-shifting itself. It actually poured through from the corner. And I encourage listeners, I always do what's called angelic feng shui, to really keep your corners open, because they really are meeting points of dimensions. So this energy poured through, which I would say from the heavenly realms, and started shape-shifting itself over me, and was making me aware, quite simply, of the message, I'm here. All right, I was basically being introduced to my guardian angel in shape-shift into a man of light with the energy. And of course, that was quite startling. I didn't have anything, to reference that experience. But years later, I would come across a book by Jeffrey Hodson, Kingdom of the Shining Ones. It was all about the angels, and he had artwork in it, and he depicted a scene very much similar to what I had happened, this being of light forming a canopy over top. And it was really an introduction. And so after that introduction, what it did, it stirred my curiosity, of course. Who was that? What was that? What was that all about? And it really set me on the path at a very early age of being a researcher of angels. And so what I see is that I then became aware that there were windows to the right and left, and I was being open to other kingdoms, or being aware, that not only humans here sharing space on the earth, but we're being blessed by God gifts of the angels.
Wow, that's it's really interesting that so many people that I hear angel stories from, they all say when they first encountered the angels, they were between 11 and 12 years old. And I know myself, I was 12 years old when I first had my, angel experience. And what do you think the significance of that age is? Like around 12 years old?
Right, but we're still, if you know what, a lot of times we have spirit encounters in what they call the twixt times of days, just before the sun rises in the morning, or just before the sun sets in the evening. And wouldn't you say that like 11 and 12 is the twixt time? We're not young children anymore, and we're not yet teenagers, so to speak. We're not into those energies. We haven't grown in those energies. So it really is a twixt time for us. And I feel that makes us accessible to being open, to being open to these experiences.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's also interesting that you mention the corners, because in a lot of near-death experiences, people say they see their loved ones or the angels, the beings of light, in the corners of the room, toward, the ceiling in the corner, which
I the word cornu, corner comes from the Latin. It means horn. So you could visualize like an opening of a funnel or a horn by which light, merges and comes together and opens. It's like a cornucopia, a horn of plenty. So I encourage people, like I said, to keep that space open. And space opening is so important in our spirituality and also with our communing with the angels. That we're making space for them in our lives.
Yeah, I that definitely resonates with me because I'm very big, have been all my life. My mother was one when she would decorate the house, she would have something in every corner. And I'd always say, no, leave, I didn't even know any of this, I was like a teenager, and I'd be like, leave some of the corners open. You need space in the house. It needs to breathe. You need to be able to feel, the energy in the room.
And Paul, you felt that energy. You were making comments, you might have thought just on an observation level, but with your sensitivity, you were sensing, like you said, breathing space. You couldn't have said it more beautifully. It's really allowing there to be, this holy breath energy. So I always say that you have room to spread out your wings.
Right.
You're giving yourself wingspan and wing space.
Yeah, and over the years when I would meditate, I would find myself intuitively, if I started with my eyes open, looking at the corner or looking through, a window. And, ironically, that was my first experience looking through a window, when the angel came through the window. So, yeah, all that very much, for me, makes me perk up my ears and go, hey, this person knows something's going on here.
I know in certain near-death experiences where people have been operated on and they've hovered above the body, oftentimes they're observing from the corners of the operating room. They're looking down. And I think that Eckankar, and talking about all the, religions and things that people follow, when Eckankar teaches, they teach people when they're going to do out-of-body experience, so to speak, they move to the corners. So there's a lot of validation of people who work with that theory to keep the corners open.
Yeah, and it's also funny. We just moved, and I set up my new room, my place where I work and meditate and everything, and I left this one corner open at the foot of the bed, and I keep being drawn to put my meditation mat in that corner at night and sit there and meditate. So yeah,
Good for you.
this is
Something,
definitely
your inner self, your higher self, is just giving you that nudge, where the best communication space is to tap into your higher self and also the divine.
yeah, and isn't it interesting? I have a statue of an angel in that corner as well. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You're priming that pump. I love it. I absolutely love it.
it is. That's very interesting to me. But getting back to your story, how did all this evolve in your life, where you found yourself working regularly, making contact with the angels?
So, there's a beautiful quote. This is from the movie Camelot, where King Arthur said, "I stumbled upon my own destiny, and boy, did I ever stumble." Because what happened is from that experience, with the heightened awareness opening up, that we're not alone, I really started, as I said, delving into research. And in one interview, or like a newspaper article, someone called me an angelologist. And I said, that just means I have more angel books than the average person with the energy. And so it guided me, Paul, into wanting to read everything that I could about the angelic kingdom. And I had file cabinets, and I was keeping articles and, making copies from books and things like that, just to kind of find out what was out there, about them, not only in the Bible, but in other people, as you said, experiences and things like that. And then as a result of that, I was being inspired by Spirit to share it, and I had a situation where my car caught fire. I was safe. I was protected. I was saved by the angels, but it actually had to be rebuilt. And it was 40 days that I was without a car, so to speak. Other people were trying to help me out. And it was really that time period that the angels wanted me to really digest everything. Like, they didn't want me getting new information or taking new classes or, adding on more. They said they really were starting, to inspire me with messages like I was at a smorgasbord and I was putting so much on my plate and I couldn't digest anymore. I couldn't eat anymore. I needed to just eat what was on my plate.
Right.
So I started just honing in, on the information of what I wanted to share with people. And that's what the angels were inspiring me. They said, if you're searching, couldn't there be others that are searching? And you could save them steps by sharing, your information. And I wasn't a public speaker at that time. I just didn't know how that was going to work out. God knew, thank goodness. And so I was inspired just to get my friends together and start, doing angel gatherings where I talked about the angels. And it really, once again, energy builds upon itself. And people started, just telling other people, you want to know about angels, you don't talk to Janie, really, she's into it. And as a result of it, I started, putting together a class for people. And I called it Commune with the Angels, all right, with this vibration. And there were small circles. I want to start out very small. And with the energies, ARE Press found out about it. And they wrote me and asked if I would be willing to write a book for them. They were opening up their new press. It was just going to be the first book that came through ARE Press. And of course, I knew it was going to be Commune with the Angels, because that's what I've been calling my class.
Mm-hmm.
And so they asked for a proposal, and I sent it actually on November 11th, because I wanted that 11-11 vibration, that energy. And that was in 1991. And they gave me a contract, and I published it. And that also started to open up other doors that I was invited to speak. So I really say to everyone, the angels have a statement. You are the doer, you are the doing, and then you are one with the deed. And it really speaks to me that we're doing activities, and it can be a hobby, that we really delve into, and we're doing this because we love it. It could be art, or some expression. One of the events, the angels have me establish days, and one of them is August 22nd, be an angel day, do one small act of service for someone, be a blessing in someone's life. The other one is January 31st, also, inspire your heart with the arts. Food will sustain you as a human being, but the angels say art inspires you to be divine. So maybe you delve into arts. You're a doer of art, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're a doer and you're doing it. You make time for it. You commit yourself to it. There's this wonderful passion, energy, the vibration. And then there's a point where the energy is so full and abundant that you are art. All right? You are not only a creator of art, you are the energy of art. And that's really what happened with my passion of wanting to be closer to the angels with wisdom and knowing about them and communing with them. The energy started growing and growing, and I became one with the message. I always say I'm the Paul Revere of the angels, and I'm here to tell people, the angels are here, the angels are here. And so I become one with opportunities that allow me to do that, such as your podcast.
Yeah, I think it's important to get the word out any way we can through blogs, books, podcasts. It's certainly a world now where when it comes to subjects like God or angels, people say, oh, that's all fairy tales in the sky, and people say, well, oh, it's a fairy tale, it's a crutch, but then they're so depressed. I see people that are just so, they say they feel so empty and miserable, and it's like, well, it's not a fairy tale. And when you tap into that energy, and you really have that experience, and you feel that divine love, it's going to change and revolutionize your whole life. You're not going to be the same after that,
But it's so beautiful. There's a beautiful quote by St. Augustine. He said that every visible thing in this world is put under the charge of the angel, of the energy, and they really are God's gifts to us. All right, He's given them assignments. Like Psalm 91 says, God has given the angels charge over thy ways. They're not body snatchers. They're not going to live your life for you, but they're traveling companions. It's fellowship and it's friendship and it's support. I call them the cosmic cheerleaders. That's my personal way to refer to them, because they're rooting for us. They're cheering for us. I mean, yeah, we're going to fall down at times, but they help us brush our knees off and, to move forward, to get up and try again and to move forward. They are such blessings. And what I encourage, a little activity that I say for people, the day we were born, our birthday, all right, for example, on the 31st of January, that your birthday, the number, is a power number. So every month, when that number rolls around, not just your actual birth month, but every month, the angels, you can go to your front door on the Sunday of that week and open the front door and invoke the angels to come. You always have your guardian angel and your angel team, but to invoke the heavenly host to join you when you pray and when you meditate and watching over you when you sleep. And then on Saturday night, you pick the time. You allow them to, you open the front door and thank them for being with you. And just sense or feel the increase of the energy during that week.
Yeah, that's a great exercise. I'm definitely gonna try that. February is my birthday. I was gonna say next month. I'm already in January, but
right, me too. I apologize. Yes, you're so right. But the energy, and it's like a power day. You're acknowledging it's a very special day. It's the day. I would say it's the day you came through the womb. You took your first gift, which was breath of life, which is given to you by God, and the angels are right there, and they're whispering to you, be you, because there's no one like you in all creation.
Mm-hmm.
So be you. And so that's a power. That's a power energy day.
Yeah, that's interesting as well, and very confirming, because in my experience, this was something that's reoccurred throughout my life. My encounter with my own guardian angel, and at one point I was kind of really struggling with religion, even struggling with my faith, because I was, kind of raised in the real kind of fundamentalist, hardcore, letter of the law kind of, religion. And, I'd broken away from that, but I was still kind of struggling and, having this notion, well, maybe I just want to give it all up. This whole thing of, God and religion, it just seems so tedious, and there's so many opinions. And the message that came to me time and time again through my own angel experience during that time was just be your authentic
I love
self.
it.
Don't be what anybody else is doing or says you should be. Just be your authentic self. Live from the heart, And finally that message got through, and that's what I did. And I'm glad I did.
Oh, I love that. And Paul, there's a wonderful quote by Albert Einstein. I want to know God's thoughts. Everything else is detail. And you are embracing the God thought that you are. God perceived you and conceived you and wrapped a body around you. Here you are. And like you're being you. And we need people often, know, what is my mission? What is my purpose? Well, I truly believe, and just from working with the angels, that mission goes back, to the energy of word that means the message. It's the message of what God was thinking when he thought of you. And you bring that message to all of us. And we get to experience that God thought of you, that no one else can give us that experience but you. And so you tapping into that awareness is just, that's what empowerment is all about.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And there's talking about all this. There's one question when I'm speaking to a guest on the show about subjects like this. There's a lot of people out there. There's a variety of people that listen to my shows. Different religions, spiritual people. But there's always the group of people who, when they hear something like this, they're immediately afraid, and they'll say, well, that's all well and fine, but you guys are invoking demons, or Lucifer masquerading as the angel of light, and there's just so much fear, in thinking they can't do it, they shouldn't do it, or that they can only maybe do it according to certain laws or rules of their religion, if it's prohibited, or allowed at all. What would you say to the people that have a lot of that fear that they're going to tap into something evil or deceptive, or do something that's displeasing to God? Like, oh, hey, I'm talking to angels. This is going to surely give me a one-way ticket to the pit of fire. What would you say to those people on this subject?
I respect their thoughts, of this moment. I will say that energy. But one of the things that I think is so important was one thing when I was writing Communing with the Angels, they said, if you take the word angel, it means accept now God's eternal love. And so our focus and intention is on communing with God, all right? It's being as close. That's why I say, with the energy, when we move ourselves closer to the angels, we're really moving ourselves closer to a part of ourselves which we've kept invisible and wants to be visible. And it is this eternal relationship with God, with the energy. A lot of times we use fear, the energy to push great love away. And there's no greater love than the divine, which God who created us with the vibration. So the energy, first of all, if for people, I encourage us for an activity every day that we rededicate ourselves to God. That when we wake up in the morning, the energy, with the vibration, we can even see the sun as an inspiration, and we say to God, this body is yours, these hands are yours, these feet are yours. Attune me, align me with all, that is for my highest good, and that brings me closer to you. That brings me closer to you. And with the energy, of course, one of the ways to dissipate the fear is to amp up the belief in God and God's love for us. Absolutely. And the energy of God's love, there are infinite gifts that God gives to us. And one of the energies, as I said, the Bible references, there's stories of the Bible with the energies of the angels. They are here as messengers of the divine, of the fullness of love vibration. And that God has given them to us. He's given them assignments. And one is to watch over us, and to uplift us, and to inspire us with the energies. So I also say to people, a way to be close to the angels is to ask God what your assignments are, what God is giving you. The energy is about light. There's a beautiful Bible verse, do not curse the darkness, but shine more brightly. And the angels are the shining ones, and the shining one's vibration. And so when we recommit ourselves, we say, only that I will commune with and will cross my path, and I will be one with, and I will be inspired with, will be the fullness of your light, God. And so you've rededicated yourself to God, and you know that the divine will bring to you experiences, be it books, be it podcasts, be it whatever, that uplifts you, inspires you to amplify that relationship with God, because that's the ultimate relationship, closeness to God. I always say, spend our time God gazing. And the angels are always pointing us in the direction of looking to God. Prayer, meditation, all the ways that we do it, but looking to God for, upliftment, elevation, inspiration.
Yeah, I always tell people, when you encounter the angels, the amount of love that you're shown, that you're given, the way that they always direct you toward God, even the love you feel coming through them is the love of God. Thinking of
That's beautiful. It is. I say you're never closer to the angels when you're kneeling in prayer to God. They're right there with you.
Yeah.
All right, supporting the prayer and the energy. When you look at the archangels, all of them have E-L at the end of their name, which is Hebrew. It means of God. So Raphael, healing of God. Michael, power of God. Gabriel, strength of God. Uriel, fire, grace of God. And that's something I say to people. If you ever do feel down and depressed, just say your name repeatedly, like I'm Jane. So I go, I am Jane L. I am Jane L. I am Jane of God. I am Jane of God. It will, by you doing that a number of times, it will shift. I'm not going to say it's going to solve your problems, but it will shift your consciousness to aligning to, well, as you said, your authentic self, that you are a child of God.
Yeah, and that's an important thing for people to remember, and also, people. I always tell them, look at the Bible. How many times angels intervened in the lives of the prophets, and and the apostles, and even Jesus. So if it was wrong to commune with them, then why did God make them? Why are they so so many of them throughout the pages of the Bible? Why did Jesus say when they were coming to crucify him, and Peter cut off the ear of the high priest's servant, and he said, hey, I could ask my Father to give me 10 legions of angels if I asked. Why didn't he say, well, just ask the Father and the Father will crush them? No, he said he would send him angels to help. So if they're in the lives of Jesus and the saints and the prophets, then certainly I think that's a message to say, hey, these are real beings, and that they're meant to be a part of our lives. They're there to help us, to encourage us, and to lead us on the path of light.
I totally agree with you, Paul. And one thing, a thought that you're sharing brought to me is that people will say, I don't believe I've seen an angel, or had an angelic experience. And I often say, I really doubt that. You didn't recognize it. Because as they are messengers of God, they can come in many disguises. They can come in numbers or license plates or, and in so many ways. They are there because what's really, the angel, of course, is important, honoring the angels, but it's really what God wants to get to you, how God wants to bless you or support you, or provide support for you. And sometimes it could be that you're missing someone who's in heaven. And then on the radio, all of a sudden you hear a song that was their favorite song or makes you think of them. Well, that's the angel DJs, and they're comforting you. God is comforting you by having his angels, play that music for you. So you hear it and know you're not alone.
Definitely. And I always say, too, angels show themselves through coincidences. When you get in, when you get into what Terry Lynn Taylor, I'm sure you know who she is, the author. She wrote a lot of angel books. She calls it angel consciousness. When you connect with the angels, when you get into angel consciousness, the coincidences are just so many that it becomes like a scientific impossibility that all this is just random. So if you're a person that has a lot of coincidences in your life, you may not have seen an angel, but just one thing after another. It's like, I can't believe it worked out that way. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that this particular event transpired in my life. Well, that's most of the times the work of the angels. They're great at bringing those happy coincidences into our lives.
That is so beautiful, and a lot of people have repeated this because I've said it so often in my lectures. But I see coincidences. Absolutely, it's God being God, all right, and God bringing those angelic coincidences to us, to let us, to support us, and to bless us. We are so blessed. We really, it's all about blessings. There really are no burdens because that which we, interpret in the moment as a burden, will be transmuted, will be transformed into a blessing. It can strengthen us. It can empower us. It can give us wisdom. But there is a blessing to behold.
Absolutely. Now, last question before we delve into a little bit how people might be able to tap into and commune with the angels for themselves. My particular angel experience. Now, I've heard a lot of people, particularly in recent years, they say, well, angels or extraterrestrials and UFOs, well, they're just the angels of old. They're the same beings. And now my personal angel experience, right from the get-go, I was 12 years old. I didn't know anything about UFOs or extraterrestrials, but it was always accompanied by a lot of like lights in the sky that people would say, oh, hey, that's a UFO. Do you think these things are connected, or what would be the connection there for people that have maybe had the same experience or think that they're kind of the same beings under a different name? What would be your take on that?
Well, with the experience of white or light, let's say, I'm not going to give it a color, but of light, it really is symbolic and it's conveying that there is expansion going on, all right? As if you're tapping into the mind of God. I'm not saying that we're going to fully understand, but we're getting a little glimpse or glimmer of our oneness with wisdom being expanded, with learning and knowledge that something new is being introduced to us with the vibrations, with the energies. I work with the inspirations also of Archangel Michael, and a message he's given is that, new things are being introduced to us, and we have free will. We have the gift, of our mental faculties and ability to think, what do I think of that? I think I want to research it. I want to explore it. I want to delve into it. We just don't willy-nilly follow things with the energy. But there is expansion. And Michael often says, first you're introduced. All right, there's an occurrence. There's a happening that didn't happen before. And if something happens, whoop, light expansion. Seeing something you hadn't seen before. And then you get acclimated to it. You start, that's what I'm saying, you learn about it. You may explore with other people, talk about it with that vibration. But you're researching it. You're going deeper. The energy is not let ourselves just be superficial beings, to have depth in our faith and depth in our spiritual gifts, and abilities. And then he said we become familiar, we're more comfortable with it, with this vibration. So any of these experiences, I always love the angels, so often we hear them say the words, fear not, because we are the biggest bunch of scaredy cats. With the energy says, we're always saying, hey, don't be afraid. I'm trying to bring you something new. I'm trying to open you up, to a new consciousness, to knowing, being closer to God, through tapping in, to God's energy in a way that you haven't tapped in it before. And so the energy is first is one way to diffuse the uncertainty, is to be an explorer, to be an adventurer, it is. We are here. God has given us the gift of this life to experience it, all right, to experience in a positive, uplifting, elevating ways, and using our wonderful gift of our mind, and our consciousness. Think, well, what do I think about that? And what did they write about that? What is the saints with the energies? I said to you, there's so many writings, of great thinkers who wrote about the angels, with the vibration, with the energy. I mean, Socrates even gave, he gave credit also that he had this protective divine spirit being that was around him with the energy. So this light is like, an energy of, a God coincidence, so to speak, God making his presence known through something new, a new awareness, a new reality, a new topic, to research.
Interesting. I like that. So in closing, since we're talking about communing with the angels during the holiday season, and of course, any other time during the year, what would be a simple way you would tell people to be able to connect with the angel, to commune with the angels themselves? I'm sure there's a lot of people that say, well, that sounds nice, but how do I do it? And I know there's a lot of really complicated, kind of techniques out there that, I think people will run out of steam before they even get to the point where they're communing with the angels, because it's hours and hours of mental and meditative prep work. I think it's a little overkill, but that kind of thing, it kind of scares people away too. It's just too involved. So what's something relatively easy that anybody could do and just start tapping into the world of the angels?
Well, first, I encourage people, to really set an intention. Just to say very easily within themselves, it is my desire, and a sincere desire, to communicate with angels. All right, the energy. So you're really setting that energy into motion. You're not being willy-nilly. You're just saying, you know what? I want to open my consciousness to being, closer to the angelic kingdom. That's the first thing, because we have to give permission. It's like giving permission to ourselves. I want to do this. I want to check this out. Then one of the easiest ways I feel is for people to find an oracle deck, a deck of divination cards, with the vibration, and put them in a bowl. There's so many beautiful decks of cards. All right, the energies of depicting angel art and with angel messages, and you put in a bowl on your table, and the energy of just fall, a card once a day, and that you were saying to yourself, this is how I was talking about priming the pump. This is how I'm going to get the dialogue flowing with the angels. This is going to be, I'm going to get a word a day. There's going to be a picture. There's going to be a message, with the energies. And that when you get that card, you really do think about it. All right. And then at the end of the day, especially, you go, well, how was that card giving me a message from the angels about what today was all about, or the feelings they had, or the experiences that I had? And you'll start to notice that for you, for each of it's different, there'll be certain cards that just seem to come all the time, or come more regularly, or you can even have a deck with archangels. There's angels, archangel decks, all kinds of decks. And so you find there's an archangel that's talking to you a lot, that shows up a lot. Let's say Michael's card, coming like every other day in a particular week of seeds. What's really Michael saying? Get to know me. Research me, study me, welcome me. And very simply, not only with the bowl of the cards, because there's something tangible. It gives people an opportunity to say, okay, this is the word of the day, or this is the passage of the day. This is the message of the day. And it gives you a focus of the dialogue. Well, what did Spirit, what did the angels be saying to me about this card? And then you can also very simply just stop during your day and just saying, angels, what message do you have for me? You've asked them. It's almost like an invitation. You're saying, like the Bible verse, ask and ye shall receive. That's asking the angels. I would like some inspiration from you, angels. All right? Now, you might just not get it that very moment, but you've put it out there. All right? It's on the divine telephone line. And then you just pay attention to what for the rest of the day, what crosses your path, what you notice, what brings your attention. Because I will tell you that once you make the commitment, you say, okay, it's my intention to move myself closer to the angels. The angels know you're listening. The angels know you're watching and you're paying attention. And things will cross your path. It might be like animals. You start noticing animals as messengers to you. universal language, symbology. It could be they will talk to you through numbers. They will talk to you through shapes or animals, as they said. It's infinite, the ways they will communicate now that they know that you're listening.
Yeah, that's great advice. I would like to leave the listeners with my personal way of connecting, which is actually very simple. And I always say you have to find what works for you as well. You know, there's a lot of people that say, well, this is the way, this is the only way, our way is the best way. But if it feels...
Run down the road as far as you can.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely have to find what resonates with you and what makes you say, this feels right. And one of the simplest ways I've found over the years is just to sit quietly in a chair, on a meditation mat, outside, inside, in the corner, wherever where you want to sit. Just close your eyes and relax your body the best you can for a few seconds. And then just think of a time in your life when you felt extremely peaceful or extremely loved. Even if your best memory is that of a holiday with your family, how you felt that loving, happy, joyful holiday feeling with everyone around, whatever it might be. Once you're in tune with that feeling, just see it as a light and let it expand from your heart and fill the room that you're in. And if you want, you could also see it, reaching up into the heavens, into the realms of, God and, the angels. And just sit in that for a couple of seconds. Feel that energy. And then just simply ask, invite the angels to step into your energy, to draw close to you. And, what I do also is ask them, I say, when you're in my energy, when you're connected with me, give me a sign that you're near. And it could be anything. It could feel like a touch on your shoulder, just a chill that runs through your body. A symbol will pop in your mind. It could be a letter, a number, a Bluetooth symbol, whatever it happens to be. And that's their way of giving you the nod, that yes, we're here. And just sit in their presence for a few moments and then ask, do you have a message for me? And then just listen. What comes to your consciousness? Do you see pictures? Do you hear voices or hear a sentence or see a sentence? Whatever you pick up during that time, even if it's short, even if it's something very short, like, we love you, or we're here, or be calm, whatever it might be, and eventually through that exercise, you're going to get, longer and longer messages where you're starting the dialogue with the angels. But I found this to be a very simple and effective way. And then when you're done, just, thank them for coming, dissipate the energy, open your eyes. And I find this is, for me, it works great, every time.
That is so beautiful. I was mentioning that the angels have me do these holidays, these angel days, because we put them in a book that's called Chase Calendar of Events that radio and TV people use. So it's another way to get messages about thinking about the angels. And one of them is December 22nd. The angels inspired me, and it's be a lover of silence. And what you just shared of stilling yourself and of being quiet, and making that beautiful heart and love connection with the angels, that is such a rich, rich blessing, that you've given to people. Because there's a lot of yama yama on the earth, and there's a lot of busyness. And when we still, and like be still and know that I am God, the statement in the Bible, what you're doing is you're stilling yourself, knowing that you're creating space and a connection with the angels and to hear, their inspiration. That's so beautiful, Paul. You shared.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope people listening will give it a try, and I think they'll see that it's, even if you don't get messages at first, like you were saying, just sitting in the presence of that feeling of love and of the angels, once you come out of that, the world looks completely different.
That's a healing.
Yeah.
You just gave them a healing exercise. That's a feel good. That's a wonderful feel good experience you
It is. It's great, and it can be. I was meditating this morning, and I didn't. I don't know, because it's Christmas time. I'm trying to kind of decipher the message, but I was in meditation, just sitting in the presence of the love of the angels, and I saw what looked like the Christmas star, the Star of Bethlehem, and it got closer and closer, and then it was like above me, and in the meditation, it was like I was looking up through a window, at this big star of Bethlehem, and just kind of like gleaming, over me. And it was just so visual and realistic, and I felt, just such peace in that moment. So that's been my meditation after meditation today. Like, now what exactly did that mean?
Well, I just want to share a little something with you because I've been doing recently some angelic feng shui lectures. And one of the things angels have just said recently for me to share is that have a symbol of the star in your home. The power of the star, because first of all, just like you said, it's the guiding light, and it's symbolic of guiding a light that guides to Christ and to Christ consciousness. And so when we see that symbol, it represents an energy that we're attuning ourselves to following that in our own lives, which is for our highest good, which will guide us, to closeness to God. That we find that the energy, just like the Magi, we're following wisdom, following, our inner guidance, our higher self, to be guided to oneness with the Christ consciousness. So that's an awesome gift your angels gave you this morning. What a blessing.
Yeah, I really like that interpretation. That again, that really resonates with me. And while you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, I got to get like a Star of Bethlehem and just hang it in my room.
Right.
It stays there all year.
Right, that's the message, to have it all year, because it's like there's people's done books about follow your North Star, but it represents that guiding light inside of each of us that guides us to our highest good and to closeness with God and intimacy with God. So, what a beautiful meditation you had.
Yeah, awesome. And I might say, hey, that perhaps this podcast and just on the whim bringing up the star is a sign to the listener. Follow the light. Follow that which guides you in your life from this day forward.
Perfect. Yes.
Make every day Christmas Day. That's what I.
I love it. Beautiful wisdom.
But anyhow, we have come to the close of the show, and hey, I appreciate you doing this. This was a great conversation. You shared a lot of wisdom with us that I feel really resonated with me and will resonate with the people who listen. So you were a real blessing, and I'm very appreciative that you did this today.
Thank you for being so kind to allow me to be on your podcast.
Hey, it's all my pleasure, definitely. But folks, thank you for listening to our conversation today. We hope this podcast was a blessing to you and inspired you to connect with the angels, and that it brings blessings in your life year round. This is our Christmas present, our holiday present to you this year. So happy holidays, everyone, and God bless.